Death has always been one of humanity's greatest mysteries. What really happens in the final moment? Where do we go, or do we simply cease to exist? Scientists and doctors have studied thousands of cases of people who went through near-death experiences. There are reports of visions, voices, lights, and even reunions with deceased family members. But what has science discovered about death so far? Are we close to understanding what happens in the final instant of our existence? Today, we will explore the latest research, the most astonishing reports, and what we truly know about death so far. What you are about to hear could completely change your perspective on life, and what comes after it. What happens at the moment of death? Our body is an impressive machine, but it also has an end. When we die, the heart stops beating, and the brain, deprived of oxygen, begins to slowly shut down. But something strange happens in this process. The brain can continue functioning for up to 10 minutes after clinical death. Researchers at the University of Western Ontario in Canada analyzed patients in their final moments and discovered that, even after death, brain activity continues for some time. Does this explain near-death experiences? Many people report that, in the final seconds, they see an intense light, hear voices, and feel a deep peace. But is this a neurological phenomenon or something beyond science? Some people who were declared clinically dead say that, in those moments, they could see their own body from the outside. They report observing doctors and nurses trying to resuscitate them, hearing conversations, and describing details that could only have been seen from above. This challenges what we know about human consciousness, the accounts science can't explain. What makes these reports so astonishing? Many of them contain information that the patients couldn't possibly have known. A study conducted by Dr. Sam Parnia, from the University of New York, analyzed hundreds of near-death experiences. In some cases, patients reported events that actually happened in the operating room, even though they were unconscious. Image of a man describing details of a surgery he saw while he was dead. According to Dr. Sam Parnia, these people weren't just having hallucinations. Some described with precision conversations and medical procedures that took place while their brains were already without measurable activity. If the brain was already shut down, how did they know these details? Another curious point. Many people report that, in this state, they felt they were outside of time and space, as if their consciousness had freed itself from the body. Does this mean there is life beyond death? What religions and history say? Since ancient times, different cultures have tried to explain what happens after death. In ancient Egypt, it was believed that the soul went through a judgment, where its heart was weighed on a scale. If it was light as a feather, the person could enter paradise. In Hinduism and Buddhism, the idea of reincarnation exists. Death wouldn't be the end, but rather the beginning of a new life in another body. And in Christianity, there are reports of people who had visions of the heaven, describing a place of light and peace. But do these beliefs have any basis in the phenomena that science has already begun to study? There are texts that describe experiences very similar to the ones we hear today. Does this mean that people have always gone through this, and perhaps the answer about death has been among us all along? The future of death research. With advancements in science, will we one day fully understand what happens at the moment of death? Today, neuroscientists are studying whether consciousness can exist separately from the body. Some believe that consciousness is not just a product of the brain, but something that may continue to exist after it stops functioning. In some universities, studies are being conducted to try to capture signs of consciousness after clinical death. But what if one day we discover that consciousness truly survives death? That would change everything we know about life, and what awaits us after it. Death remains one of humanity's greatest mysteries. But, little by little, we are getting closer to the answer. After all, is death the end of everything, or just the beginning of something greater? And you? Have you heard any stories about near-death experiences? Do you believe there's something beyond? Write your opinion in the comments. If you liked this video and want more surprising stories, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. In the next video, we'll talk about the most terrifying reports of encounters with the supernatural.